Hey guys, welcome back to my channel Practical Learning Assets. So today I am back with another video for class 11 on economics chapter 1 from microeconomics book. So let's start with the video. Our chapter 1 for microeconomics is economics and economy. In this chapter, we will see that what is an economy and what economics is. What is the difference between an economy and economics, and which type of economy do we have in India, and what are the types of economies we can see in different countries. So what economics is about? Economics is that branch of knowledge in which those activities of human beings are studied which they undertake to acquire scarce means to satisfy their unlimited wants. Now, the dictionary meaning of term economics refers to that science which studies human activities relating to wealth. Now, the term economics in English language has its origin in two Greek words, oikos meaning household and nemen meaning management. So together they mean management of household. So economics literally means management of household. Human wants are unlimited, but the means to satisfy human wants are limited or scarce. And here the means that we are talking about, the means that are needed to satisfy human wants, they are known as wealth. Now let's see what is the definition of economics. Economics is a science of human behavior concerned with the allocation of scarce means in such a manner that consumer can maximize his satisfaction, producer can maximize his profits, and the society can maximize its social welfare. Now in this definition, we have two keywords. The first one is science of human behavior. Whenever we are writing the definition for economics, it is necessary to write this keyword so as to make our definition meaningful and effective. So, a science of human behavior which is concerned with allocation of scarce means. Then comes scarcity and choice is the essence of economics. When we are talking about economics, it is incomplete without the discussion about scarcity and choice. Now let's see what scarcity and choice mean. Scarcity refers to the situation when what you have is less than what you wish to have. Or in other words, scarcity implies a situation when supply of resources is less than the demand for resources. When we need more resources, when we need more products, but the supply of these resources or these products is less than our demand for the resources. Then choice refers to the process of selection from available limited resources or available limited alternatives. It emerges because resources are scarce and resources can be allocated to alternative uses. Now choice is an outcome of scarcity. Now let's take an example. Let's say milk. Milk is a product or milk is a resource from which we can make different items like curd, cheese, and many kinds of sweet dishes and many more things. But milk is single resource from which we can make alternative resources. If we have 2 liters of milk, we need to make a choice between different alternatives, that should we make a curd from that, should we make cheese from that, or should we make some sweet dish from that. This means that our milk is scarce and it has different alternatives, due to which we have to make a choice between what should we produce and what we should leave. So choice emerges when limited resources are to be used for the satisfaction of unlimited wants. Now let's see the conclusion from this. Scarcity causes choice. Choice implies decision making. Now decision making relates to usage of limited resources in a manner that consumer maximizes satisfaction, producer maximizes his profits, and the society maximizes its social welfare. Then comes the concept of microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now when the problems of choice or economic problems, actually economic problems are related to the problem of choice. So we can write either economic problems or the problem of choice. When problems of choice are studied and addressed at the level of individuals, it is called microeconomics. Now here individuals mean like individual units, like a household or a small group of people. Then when the problems of choice are studied and addressed at the level of the country as a whole or at the level of different regions in the country, it is called macroeconomics. Now let's study microeconomics in some detail. The term micro in English language has its origin from Greek word micros, which means small. It studies economic activities of an economic unit like demand for salt by an individual household, or economic activities of a small group of economic units like demand for salt by all the households. Microeconomics thus includes the study of demand theory, production theory, price determination and factor pricing. These are different chapters which are given in this book. So we will be studying these chapters step by step. Then comes macroeconomics. The term macro in English language has its origin in Greek word macros, which means large. Now it studies economic activities related to economy as a whole. For example, it studies aggregate demand for all goods and services in the economy. Macroeconomics deals with aggregates such as national income, total employment, general price level, etc. Now let's see what is the difference between micro and macroeconomics. Microeconomics studies economic relationships or economic problems at the level of an individual, whereas macroeconomics studies economic relations or economic problems at the level of the country as a whole. Then microeconomics is basically concerned with determination of output and price for an individual firm or industry. Therefore, microeconomics is briefly referred to as the theory of price. Macroeconomics is basically concerned with determination of aggregate output and general price level in the economy as a whole. Accordingly, macroeconomics is briefly referred to as the theory of income and employment. Study of microeconomics assumes that macro variables remain constant. When we are studying microeconomics, we will assume that the macro variables, they remain constant. When we are studying macroeconomics, we will assume that the micro variables remain constant. Now, market forces of supply and demand. It plays a significant role in the context of microeconomic problems like the problem of product pricing or factor pricing, which is also known as distribution. Then government policies play a significant role in the context of macroeconomic problems like the problem of unemployment, poverty and inflation. Inflation is a situation when the prices of some commodities or all the commodities, they keep increasing. Then comes positive and normative economics. First, we have seen that what is economics. It is a science of human behavior which is concerned with the allocation of scarce resources. Then under economics, we have two types of economics, that is micro and macro. Micro, it studies economic relationships or economic problems at the level of an individual, and macro studies the relationships or economic problems at the level of economy as a whole. Next, we have positive and normative economics. Now, positive economics deals with economic issues related to past, present or future. It deals with such economic situations which can be studied by using facts and figures. Let's take some examples. On the eve of independence, poverty in India affected larger percentage of population than now. Now it is an observation related to the past. Now 22% of population in India is absolutely poor, below poverty line. Now it is an observation related to the present. Then if population in India continues to grow at the existing rate, the percentage of population below poverty line will exceed 22% in the year 2020. It is an observation related to the future. Now what we have seen here, first we saw a statement related to the past, then related to the present. Now on the basis of the past and the present, we can see a pattern that is being followed. So on the basis of that pattern, we can make an assumption or we can make a statement regarding the future also. Now the statements which include the past, present and future situation, they are included in positive economics. Now all these observations or statements are elements of positive economics. These observations highlight the state of poverty in the past, present and the future. Thus, positive economics is the economics of what was, what is and what would be. Now let's see the characteristics of positive statements. These statements highlight the nature and extent of economic problems or analyze the economic behavior of the people related to past, present or future. These statements are based on facts and figures related to past, present and future. These statements are verifiable for truth as facts and figures can be verified. These statements do not reflect any value, judgment or opinion of the economists. Now here we have one question also related to the third point, that these statements are verifiable for truth. Now it is important to note that positive statements, they are verifiable for truth, but it is not necessary that they are true. We can verify them whether they are true or false. But this is not important that these statements will always be statements of truth. Then comes normative economics. It is the economics of what ought to be, that what should be done. It deals with opinions of the economists related to economic issues or economic problems. Now, positive economics was not having any value judgments or opinions. It was just a statement based on facts and figures that were taken that were related to past, present and future. But normative economics involves opinions of the economists related to economic issues or economic problems. Now these opinions involve value judgments which can further cause debates. Now let's see some examples. Manrega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act will one day bring an end to the problem of unemployment in the country. Now what is this act? Manrega, it is an act started by the central government under which it will give 100 days employment to the unemployed citizens, for which it will give the wages to the citizens also. And if the government fails to give employment to some citizens, then it will surely give the amount or the wages that are fixed to each and every citizen, whether he or she has done the work or whether he or she was unable to get the work. Then Manrega is just a program of financial aid to the unemployed people in rural India. Beneficiaries of Manrega will remain as unproductive workers. Manrega uses taxpayers' money and should therefore be stopped. See here, one economist is saying that Manrega will one day bring an end to the problem of unemployment in the country. Then the second one is saying that it is just a program of financial aid to the unemployed people in rural India, that it is just giving financial aid to the people. Beneficiaries of Manrega will remain as unproductive workers, that once their time period of 100 days is over, they will again become unemployed workers. Then the third one is saying that Manrega uses taxpayers' money and therefore it should be stopped. Then the next economist is saying that Manrega should not be pursued unless it ensures asset creation in the economy. Now all these statements are elements of normative economics. These are merely opinions and these are not verifiable for truth. Now let's see the characteristics of normative economics or normative statements. These statements involve value judgment. These statements lead to controversies and debates. These statements indicate opinions and are therefore not verifiable for truth. These statements reflect what ought to be as a solution to the economic problems. Then comes the difference between positive and normative economics. Positive economics deals with economic issues related to past, present and future. Normative economics deals with opinions of the economists related to economic issues or economic problems. Now, when the opinions of some economists are given, those are taken as normative economics or normative statements. But when a layman gives his statement about anything related to the economy, that is not taken as a normative statement. Then statements of positive economics relate to what was, what is and what would be. Statements of normative economics relate to what ought to be, that what would be the result. Then statements of positive economics are not necessarily the statements of truth. They may be true or false. Normative statements cannot be termed as true or false. These statements involve opinions only. Opinions cannot be taken as true or false. They are mere opinions which can create controversies and debates. Then facts and figures are verifiable for truth under positive economics. Normative statements, they are not verifiable at all. Then positive economics does not involve value judgment. Normative economics involves value judgment. So guys, this was all for today's video. If you like the content in this video, so don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. And also do share this video with your friends. Bye guys.